My name is Jason Roy, and I am rebuilding and trying to get this 1946 CJ2A back on the road. We call him Ned for any of my new viewers or subscribers. And in today's video, we are going to replace the floorboards. Before we get started, if you wouldn't mind just hitting the like button if you like the video. And if you really like it and you want to follow along on this build or any of my other builds that you'll see, if you could just hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and that will alert you whenever any of my videos come out, which I try to put out a video every week. But enough of me talking, let's get to work. So before we get started, I just want to show you a quick clip of what I actually did this week. In that video, it just shows that I wanted to get rid of all the rotted areas, clean up a lot of the grind up a lot of the welds, get those all cleaned up, and actually get the floorboards prepped for mounting of the floorboards, which that entailed, I wanted to actually gusset this area here where the new met the old structural members. And also, what they used to do with these here is fill this area up with wood to actually act as a support to the floorboards. So when you put a bolt through the floorboards, through the framework and into the chassis, like in that area there, that when you tighten up the bolt, it don't crush the floorboard. So it would actually have wood in between it to actually help support it. But instead of putting wood in there, which actually caused it to rot a lot of the times, actually just putting little extensions on the holes with using 3/4 steel pipe. But now what I'm going to do is actually start in the back here and fabricate the floorboards. I'm just using flat stock, regular sheet steel. I was going to get a bead roller, but I wasn't able to get one, and I feel like I really don't need it in this. I haven't used a bead roller in any of my builds yet, and I'm perfectly happy with the floorboards with flat metal. So with this back, I'm gonna just measure. I don't feel like I need to make a template for this, so I'm gonna measure on both the front and back, which measures 35 and 7/8. With something like this, you don't want to try to make your measurement too tight because you're going to have a real hard time getting the metal in there. And plus, if it's too tight, it's going to buckle the metal in the middle. So I'm going to make it slightly smaller. So actually a little bit smaller than I was measuring, 35 3/4. And 35 3/4, so that's good. And then I'm going to bring it right out just shy of this edge here. And 39 1/4. 39 1/4 and 35 3/4. And my ultimate goal with this is to make everything strong. Because a lot of this metal has been compromised with being rusted, maybe a little bit thin. So I want everything to tie into each other. I don't want anything to be separated. So what I'm gonna do is actually bend up, make a 1.25" bend, or a 90-degree bend, and bend it up 1.25" and tie it into this fender area on both sides. Now I'm going to run another piece across here, and I'm going to kind of incorporate these repairs right here on the wheel wells with the piece going across here. I want to encapsulate this area. And so what I'm going to do is not secure these in just yet. What I'm going to do is just fabricate them today. And before I actually attach these, I want to paint all this area here just to kind of keep it all from rusting where it's going to be encapsulated by metal. So I'm going to work on that now. Now moving forward to the front section of the floorboards. This was actually the center piece that I actually ended up removing. I started patching it and this metal was so thin and flimsy that I just ended up getting rid of it. But it actually gave me a good idea what I want to actually do with this. I want to make this in 3 separate sections. I want to have that section, then this center section that could actually be removed, because that's the design of my International Scout. Has a removable cover in the middle, and I actually like that because you're able to access a lot of the things in the middle, like the back of the transmission, the transfer case. Then I'm going to make one section that goes right across here, and I think I'll actually make it so the floorboard on this side stops right about here, so I can access that fill right there. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'll actually show you the process I'm going to do to template this. It's a way that we usually make copper pans, and it's what you do is actually use strips of wood and a hot glue gun. So that worked out pretty well. Now I'm going to just continue and do the same thing on the other side. Well, this side came out pretty well. That corner was a little bit tough getting the measurements for that, but that worked out pretty good. Guys, well, I'm going to call it a day. I've been working on this for quite a while. It took a little longer than I thought. It was definitely harder than doing the floorboards for the MG and the Scout. There was a lot more angles. That corner looks a little wonky, but I think once I start welding it and able to push it down, it's gonna straighten right out. So I'm gonna actually make this a multi-part video on this interior work, because there's a lot of work to finish this up. I gotta do the top of these fender wells, patch up some little spots that need to be patched up. I got to do this side here. The corners, I have to just fabricate those corners there. But I'm pretty pleased with it. It looks like it's getting there. And once this is, I'm going to do some body filler on the inside of this, like in that area there, and blend this all in. I'll leave that seam. I don't mind seeing this seam, but I'm going to actually use undercoating and make this all black on the inside. And on the next week's video, I'm going to also do the cover for the center part here. But I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to make that removable. I think it's a good idea having that removable. I think to have the access to everything in there by just being able to undo some screws, I think that's a good idea. But that's going to be it for today, and I will see you guys next week.